Where's my man Jeff Harris at? Is he on here? I want to show
Morning.
our guest speaker here something. So Pastor Greg, we got a lot of Penn State fans up in here. So I got my Ohio State Eddie George boy up here. I don't mean to rub that in, Jeff. I do not mean to rub that in. It just, it was the timing was right for that.
Dev, I got to run, man. It's been great. Thanks.
Oh man, good stuff. What's up, Mr. Bud? Steve Mullen, Claudio, great to see you, my friend.
See you.
Mike, Linda, Christian, hello, Jason, Trevor Cooney in the house, Jeremy Mess, how are you, sir? All right, we're gonna give it one more minute, and then I will start rolling on in here. And I am excited for this call. I'm like starstruck right now up on this Zoom, so I'm excited for you guys to kind of see a little bit of what I've been following and impacted for the past 4 years via YouTube. All right, what's up, Kelly Harris? How are you? Jennifer, good afternoon. Andrew, what's up? Good afternoon to you. Heather Jones, Ankit, what's up? Danny, good afternoon. All right, guys. Did I hit record already? Yeah, I hit record. Perfect. All right, I'm going to give a brief introduction here, which most of my introductions are never brief, so I apologize. But for the most part, as people continue to come on here, if you're in the harvest and you've been in here for hello from Punta Cana. If you've been in here for the past, year and a half that we've been born, I've shared a lot of our next guest, Pastor Greg Ford. And as in the harvest, we continue to talk about our commitments to our mind, our bodies, and our business every single day. When it comes to our mind, for me, I always like to highlight it's spiritual and mental. And one of the biggest things for me as I continue to just grow and evolve, whether it's personally, with my family, with business, with any decision that I'm making, my journey on my faith journey, me working out my spiritual strength has been very helpful for me. Just taking that next foot forward. Because there's always a lot of fear. There's always a lot of uncertainty. And especially when life happens, a lot of times I'm very vocal with you guys. Listen, there are going to be some moments in your life that a coach is not going to be able to help you, right? Your mother, your father, your husband, your friends, people around you will not be able to help get you through some things in your life. So you need something to give you faith and belief to just find that energy and that positivity and that momentum to just keep moving forward and not self-destruct. For me, it's my walk with God. And, I don't want this call to be pressing you guys on God. Let's just, if for some of you, maybe you're not on this journey, maybe it's your faith in the universe or whatever other higher power that you believe in. If you do not believe in some type of higher power, I would really start exercising that, because like I said, life will happen and there will be some things that you just need to find faith somewhere to get you through. And, as much as we want to help you guys in the harvest, as much as I want to help you, there's only so much we can do to pull you out of certain situations. So for the past 4 years, I've discovered Pastor Greg Ford through YouTube. And it just seems like, I try and put habits and rituals in my life, and that's while I'm walking my dog, try and hop on YouTube and listen to a lot of his content. And it's just funny because every time I hear his different topics that he preaches on at his church service, right? And again, some of you may not, maybe you're not going to church a lot, but just know that if you go to the right church, they teach a lot about things that you are working on now, life, business. And, I just continued to listen to his stuff for years and years. And then on the Deep Roots call yesterday, I talked about the law of attraction in the book, The Secret. And this is an example that I gave. And, this guy, a gentleman, Mike McGovern, on this call, he was on one of our small group calls. And next thing you know, hit me up afterwards and, was asking about the harvest. And I was like, yo, man, I said, Pastor Greg Ford follows you? And he's like, yeah, man, it's one of my good friends. I'm like, you have to be kidding me. This guy's out of Ohio. I just been listening to this dude for 4 years. I would have never thought that I would have had the opportunity to get him into the harvest. But again, whether it's God working, whether it's the law of attraction, whether it's the universe, it just finds a way when you put that energy out there. So what you guys are going to get out of this call, and I always like to prime your mind, you're going to get some knowledge, some reps on your spiritual strength, right? Maybe you are, you're strong in it and you just want to level it up, or maybe you haven't really exercised the spiritual world yet. Maybe you haven't found that church, or you haven't found that pastor or priest, and this is just going to kind of rekindle that flame for you. Biblical principles in the Bible that relate to business today. Piece of advice that I had from one of my mentors a long time ago was the Bible is the best business book in the world. And I never knew what that meant. Like, I just could have never figured that out. And now I'm starting to understand it at a high level. Branding, you're going to learn about branding at a high level, especially when it comes to a church. That's how I found our next guest speakers, because he was discoverable because of how he made that decision to evolve and do what a lot of churches aren't doing, and that is be very, discoverable on YouTube, on social media. I mean, he's a pioneer in this space. So branding, you're going to learn about. And also another great topic, and I know a lot of you have interest in me especially, is the parenting aspects, high performance parenting. And, Greg has a very good opportunity to talk about this, because through some of his content that he's been posting out there, he's been really inspirational as just a father figure that I look up to as I listen to his content and learn about, what God put in his life and how he handles that. And, how a lot of people, if you don't look at things the right way, it could be, something detrimental to your mindset, to your results, to your health, if you don't see it as an opportunity and use your faith or just the way you look at things in a different way. And he's going to go into that too. So, and he's also an Ohio State fan, and you guys know I love Ohio State fans too up in here. So I know a lot of you are probably going to be mad on this call, but as always, please, also, you're going to get a lot of good stuff from this call. Please follow him, right? A lot of our previous guest speakers, I know some of you would be like, man, I stayed in contact with him. I followed him, and man, it's like every day I'm learning stuff. It's like, this is just incredible. So I would highly suggest after this call, just follow his Instagram, follow his Facebook, connect with him. You will not be disappointed. And I'm telling you, it helps me every single day. And it will, at some point, whatever it is that you're going through or growing through, it will help you just as if it helped me. So Pastor Greg, this is crazy, man. This is like just crazy me in my life right now, introducing you to the harvest. This is just a blessing for me to have you here, man. And I can't thank you enough for coming in here and pouring into our community, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, man, this is a huge honor. And I know you guys are busy people. You got a lot of responsibility. You probably got huge meetings coming up, and you probably just walked out of one. So to take time to do this, I just want to hopefully be a blessing to you. And before I jump in, two things real quick. So I have a friend on here. You're probably wondering, who is Josh Johnson, right? Josh is a friend of mine. He's a pastor in Indiana. And we're spending the day together. He came to just kind of shadow meetings and hang today. So I invited him to jump on this. I hope that was okay.
Oh, of course. You kidding me? Absolutely. Welcome, Josh.
And then the second thing, and this is to try to make it up to the Pennsylvania fans, the Penn State. Okay, we won't talk Penn State, Ohio State, but here's what I got to tell you. Do we have any Eagle fans? Any Eagle
baby?
All right.
Let's go.
True story. My favorite name drop right now is Nick Sirianni lived on my hall in college.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. We played football together at Mount Union. One of the nicest guys in the world. And what's funny is, okay, so I graduated high school in 99. So that was 2001. So 3 years ago. Nick was like killing everybody in NCAA on PlayStation. Like nobody could touch him. Like, I mean, the dude would just run up the score, and never thought, okay, that's probably the makings of a future NFL coach. But anyway, super great guy. And I have become a Eagles fan because of him. So, all right, let me get in. I'll just share a little bit of backstory, and then I got a couple of thoughts, and then any Q&A. I just want to hopefully help out. So my backstory, man, I grew up in church. My dad was a pastor. of a really small church. So there's about like 100, 150 people in this church. And my dad is like the best guy I've ever met. He's just like loves people, serves people. He's a true pastor. Like if you're in the hospital, this is who you want to come visit you. Loves to do weddings. My dad's the only person I've ever met who's energized doing funerals. Like, I mean, truly like caring for people and loving them. So we always had people living in our basement, living in our house. People, you know, John Dickerson lost his job. And so we'd move the whole family into my house. And so that's kind of the family I grew up in. So I always saw my dad as like a do-gooder, but I didn't really want his life. I kind of was an ambitious young man. I was, you know, wanting to do something sort of epic. So again, that expressed through sports, or I thought about business, or, you know, I wanted to do something great. And I never thought of faith or church or anything like that. The Bible, I didn't associate that with any sort of ambition or growth or anything like that. And so I went to college, my freshman year of college. I was at Mount Union, and it was that year I was kind of going wild. I was partying, doing all this. And I had sort of a defining moment where I felt like God brought me to this crossroads where I could kind of see where I was headed. And I made a decision to give my life to serving God and to doing ministry. And I didn't really know what that meant. My dad wore a suit every day and pastored a small church. I knew I didn't want to do that, but I didn't know what my place was, but I kind of took that step of faith. So I left Mount Union. I finished my final 3 years at a school down in Texas, and I just started doing youth ministry, working with teenagers. And I did that for 7 years, and then just felt led to start a church, right? Now, the irony is actually planting a church and starting a business actually have a ton in common. A lot of the most helpful things I learned in starting the church, actually, I read some entrepreneurial books and consulted with business people, because it's like you go to a new town, nobody knows who you are, so you got to create awareness. You have to do some kind of marketing. You have to raise money. So I had to, figure out how to do that. We had to find a location. We had to start delivering. We don't sell products, but we're essentially like a service provider. But we had to get clear on that. What services do we provide? And how do we do those really, really well? So sometimes in church, like people just think like totally compartmentalize spirituality and organization. And I really don't. I think there's a lot of crossover. And so that's what we did. And here's how we started. I worked the front desk at a fitness club.
This is what I wanted you to talk about too. I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
So it was what turned into LA Fitness, but it's a huge, 8,000 members at this club. And I was like, man, I gotta, nobody knows me. I don't know anybody here. So I got to meet people. So I put in my resume. Nobody would hire me because I had a theology degree. So in in your all's world, what the heck can this guy do other than talk about God? Nobody would hire me. So I went to LA Fitness and I pretended to want a membership so I could talk to the manager. I just acted but I couldn't even afford a membership. I was, we put all our money in to help start this church. It was my wife and I and our infant daughter. So he takes me on a tour around the gym, and I stop him halfway through. And I was like, listen, I got to come clean, man. I need a job. My name is Greg Ford. I'm here to start a church in the community. And I said, if you hire me, I'll be the best employee you've ever had. I'll show up on time every day. I'll treat everyone with honor and respect. I'll memorize as many names as I can. You'll never have to clean up one of my messes in the lobby. I'll do everything. I'll do your training. I'll execute. I'll do everything you tell me to do. And he goes, what do you want to do? I said, I want to work the front desk. I said, I want everybody that walks through here to have to walk past me. And he said, it's minimum wage, right? I said, I love minimum wage. Let's go. He said, you're hired. He said, we've never had anybody that passionate about the front desk. So he goes, what shift do you want to work? I was like, bro, you tell me. You're Batman. I'm Robin. I'll do whatever you'll give me. He goes, we need an opener. I'm like, done. So I show up the next day, 4:30 in the morning. And for over a year, I'd get up at 3:45. I'd be there at 4:30. I would open the gym 4:55 every day, 5 minutes early. I memorized hundreds and hundreds of names. People would come in, scan them. Mike McGovern. I would do drills like football days. X them out. Mike McGovern. Mike McGovern. Mike McGovern. How am I going to remember this name? I'd memorize his name. He goes to leave. Mike McGovern, where you headed, man? Oh, I'm going to work. That's cool. Where do you work? Oh, I'm a logistics director at such and such. That's cool. What do they do? And we became friends. We started building relationships. I did marriage counseling at the front desk. People didn't even know I was a pastor. I consider myself to be the pastor, the leader of the gym. I was literally the lowest man on the totem pole. I probably got offered 24 jobs in sales. People are like, bro, what are you doing at this front desk? Like, come sell our widget. You'll make a bunch of money. But I was there to start this church, and I wanted to integrate in the community. I wanted to get the heartbeat of the community, and I wanted to serve people. And, so I did that for over a year. We found a set up, tear down location, which we did that for 5 years, which is tough leadership, getting people to show up on Sunday at 5 a.m. to set up, stay through and tear down at 1:30 on their day off. Really tough. But we did that for 5 years, and we bought a building of a church that was actually dying, but they had 76,000 square feet. We bought it for their debt. And our church went from 700 people to 3,000 people in about 3 years. So it just really took off. And I've had to do everything you have to do in an organization, figure out how to scale, have systems and processes, be clear about vision, strategy. We do a lot of hiring and firing. We have 35 full-time employees. We have a lot of part-time employees, delegation, clarity, pivoting, flexibility. I mean, we went through COVID. You want to talk about scared? Okay. We put our entire life into starting this. And guess what? Churches don't send you an invoice. We don't send you a bill. When people are tight on money, first people they stop giving to is their church. And then we had people hitting us up for money. Waitress, personal trainer, married, both shut down. We gave away, Mike McGovern here, he can attest to everything I'm telling you is the truth. Our church, when I didn't know what was going to happen, if we were ever going to reopen, we gave away $180,000 in the summer to help people get medicine, food, pay rent, pay for their cars. We were just giving money away because people needed it. I mean, they just flat out needed it. And so we're like, if we're going down for what we believe. We're going down for why we're actually here. And we're going to trust God, and we'll see what happens. And God blessed it. And I could tell you a million stories, but that's a bit of the backstory. I want to give you a scripture. I know not everybody here is a Bible person, and frankly, that's totally fine. Most of the people I hang out with, spend time with, aren't really either. But I want to give you a peculiar verse. If you have been to church, or you're a Christian or a Bible person, you'll probably never hear a sermon on this verse, on this text. It's very rare. This almost never gets preached. It's in Luke chapter 16, and it's the parable of the shrewd manager. Okay, it's worth noting Jesus makes this story up, right? So you hear the term parable. A parable is just a made-up fable, fictional story Jesus made up, which is interesting because Jesus making up stories. It's worth like going, okay, really read into it. So here's the story that he tells, and you'll see why it never gets preached. He tells the story, he goes, hey, there was this rich man, and he had a manager, and this manager wasn't doing a good job, and basically he gets fired. And so he gets fired, and when he gets fired, he's freaking out because he's like, how am I going to pay my bills? Like, what am I going to do? So he goes into self-preservation mode. And on his way out, he just starts giving everybody discounts. So he gives, you can read it. It's Luke 16. He gives people 50% discounts. He gives people 30% discounts. And the reason he's doing it is because he realizes I'm going to need some help. I need some relationships. So I'm going to just play the hand I have. And he pulls kind of a shady move, right? But then when he leaves his job, he ends up, because he gave people these discounts, he built some relationships, and then he lands on his feet. So he's the kind of guy, you're reading this, of course, you guys are business owners and leaders and everything. So you're like reading this, it's like, that's like that's like the employee from hell, right? This is like, you kidding me? Like, there's no way this guy's a hero. This guy's awful. He's shady. he gets fired and he takes his last days, he's cleaning out his desk and he's giving people discounts on your product. Like, you got to be kidding me. So you're expecting Jesus to just hammer this guy, right? To be like, shadiest guy ever, don't learn anything from him. Well, Jesus acknowledges that like some of what he did was not good. But then he says, but here's one thing he had going. It says in verse 8, he said, the rich man, or the business owner, had to admire in some way the dishonest rascal for being shrewd. And it's true. Look at this. He says, the children of this world are more shrewd in dealing with the world around them than are the children of light. In other words, he's like, a lot of these do-gooder pastor Christian people, they mean well, but he said they're not very shrewd. They're not playing to win. They're not playing strategically. And then he gets really practical in verse 9. He says this, here's the lesson. Use your worldly resources to benefit others and make friends. And then when your possessions are gone, they'll welcome you to an eternal home. Let's break that down. Use your worldly resources to benefit others and make friends. Use your worldly resources to build relationships. Use your worldly resources to build people. Use your worldly resources to add value to other people, right? Not the other way around. Don't use people to generate your resources. Use your resources to build people. And he said, it's a shame that people who really don't have a deep mission are often more intentional, more shrewd, more passionate, more strategic. They execute, they follow through, all right? They play the hand they're dealt to the max level. He goes, and they do it for something that will ultimately fade away. And here you have light and you're just out here winging it. And so, man, when I read that, I thought, ooh, man, I definitely don't want to be shady. I definitely don't want to pull a shady move. But at the same time, I'm not going to let the world or anybody else be more shrewd than me. Like, if they're about theirs, I'm going to be about mine even more. Not because I'm greedy. Not because I'm insecure, not because I'm on an ego trip, but because I believe deeply in what I'm doing. And actually, if I don't have any resources, then it's really hard to help a bunch of people. But when you have a lot of people, you can use those things to build relationships, build people. And so really that's the mindset of what we do. And it's something I think you have to hold in tension, right? You have to allow God or whoever you believe in, right? When you get quiet, to search your heart and go, man, am I making this about me? Or, have I remained noble in my mission and my focus? And once I do that, now I do everything I can do to be as effective and fruitful and productive as I possibly can be. I'll say one more thing and then I'll pause for a question. There's another story and this isn't a parable, it's an actual story from an eyewitness, where Jesus is walking past a fig tree and it was supposed to have figs. It had no figs. It only had leaves, the Bible says. So there's no figs on the tree. And Jesus is hungry, the Bible says. And he's ticked. He's mad at the fig tree because it doesn't have figs. And the Bible says he curses the fig tree, but it doesn't get specific. I would love to know what he said. Wouldn't you? Like, Jesus cursed a fig tree. Like, what did you fig tree? Like, I want to know exactly. I want to know verbatim what Jesus said to this fig tree. But bottom line is he comes back the next day and it was dead. Dead. And Jesus is, I believe, sending a message. He does expect us to be fruitful. He did not expect the fig tree to bear oranges. He didn't expect the fig tree to make apples. He expected it to make figs. But it wasn't making figs. All it was leafy. It was not fruitful. And I believe God has created each one of us, right, to do something, to make something, and he expects us to bear that fruit. And so I think through self-awareness and through the journey, God puts passion inside of us. He gives us talents, gifts that then we are supposed to use to be fruitful. There's an expectation of that. And I think Jesus shows it in that story. So those are a couple thoughts. Let me pause real quick because I've been doing all the talking here. Let me kick it back over to Devin. Any specific questions or anybody want to react?
Yeah, so I see some stuff in the chat. Steve Mullen, Brian, incredible. That Mike McGovern said, use the money to love the people, don't love the money and use the people. And this leads to, I listened to one of your videos before when you were talking about how to use your gifts, right? And I can't remember off the top like how it went, but as the one thing that I've learned, and this is as you guys, when I said in the beginning of this call, how when you really dig deep into maybe like trying to read the Bible, you get confused, but listen to go to his YouTube, try and find content, the right content that explains how it really relates so much in the business. And the biggest thing that I've learned so far is it's always about the people, right? And in business, we talk a lot about not just being transactional. It's focus on helping the people, and you will get as many transactions as you can ever imagine. And I think about when I started going to this church that I went to, and I always look at things like how it operates like a business. I look at the pastor, every little attention to detail, getting a text message from the pastor after church. Hey, how was everything? Like these check-ins, it's all like when I sit down and have breakfast with my pastor, or I listen to Greg. I don't know. There's another pastor, Anthony. I saw him earlier. But the biggest thing that I've learned when I sit down with pastors are they're such good listeners. They listen so well. And the funny thing is, because they're such a good listener, it's like, man, I love to talk. So I'm just sitting there unraveling everything and it's like I'm spilling everything out. And then it just hit me, man. I'm like, man, I also need to become a better listener too. So I share this with you guys to not miss these things that he's talking about and how they relate to your business and leadership right now. But Pastor Greg, you did a YouTube video on explaining identifying what your gifts are, and like your gifts, it was something like your gifts are for people. You get what you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah. So this is one of the most things I'm most passionate about. So let's start with this foundation. Every human being that's ever lived, right? All of us on this Zoom call, we are hardwired for two things. We really need two things. One is security, and the second is fulfillment. You want to be secure and you want to be fulfilled. Everybody does. You can decode every sales pitch out there, or everything you do is to get one of those two things. So let's look at marriage. I mean, it's built into the vows. Why would you get married? Well, because I want security. I want to know this person's not going to leave me. I mean, look at the vows. For better or for worse. I mean, we paint the edges, sickness and in health, till death do us part. I want to know that this person, even if I get in a car accident, if I am a paraplegic, if I contracted disease, this person is not going to leave me if I gain weight. Okay, what is it? Security. The second is fulfillment. Man, life is better with this person. I love being with this person. The sunsets are more beautiful. We take trips together. We do life together. We have kids together. We lose things together. We win, we lose. Fulfilling. It's better with you. How do marriages break down? How do they fail? Well, usually one of two. Security. Dude, I don't feel safe in this relationship anymore. Maybe physically safe, maybe emotionally safe. I don't feel fulfilled. Dude, I'm not making you happy. You're not making me happy. Let's irreconcilable differences. Let's go our separate ways. Every car you buy, that's a sales pitch. They run through the security features. Hey man, JD Power and Associates told us that this is the most safe car ever. And then look how happy that dude looks driving it. Everything's about security and fulfillment. Voting. I will make you safer. They will make you more dangerous. And I'll make you more fulfilled. If you vote for me, you vote for them, you're going to feel less fulfilled. They hate you. I love you. So security and fulfillment. God made us that way. Our gifts, right? The things you do well. Whether you're body smart, numbers smart, interpersonal smart, music smart, nature smart. There's lots of different kinds of smart. You're gifted for things. You're good at them. You don't even think you're that great at it. You think everyone else sucks at it. Why can't they do that? I mean, they're so stupid. Why can't they figure? No, it just came to you like this. You move faster. You get more information quickly. It just makes sense to you. All right. So it's in the area of your gifts. Your gifts are designed, I believe, have been given to you by God for fulfillment. But the problem is, I think most of us use them for security. So if I was teaching from the Bible, I would say this: your security should come from things that can't be taken away. I'm God's dearly loved son who brings him great joy. Period. You can't take that away from me. You can take my money. You can take my reputation. You could soil my reputation. You could lie about me. You could hurt me. You could injure me. You can't take away that I'm his dearly loved son who brings him great joy. So I believe if our church fails, if I humiliate myself, if everyone thinks I'm a loser, I think that has no bearing on how God sees me. I believe he loves me even better. I get a glimpse of it in how I love my 3 kids, but he loves me even more purely. I can't earn it. On my best day, he doesn't love me more. On my worst day, he doesn't love me less. So my security comes from that. And I believe that I've been given the spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives inside of me. It's like my last name. It gives me confidence that he is in me. That's my security. My fulfillment now comes from I'm already secure, whether I win or lose. And now I take my gifts and I courageously use my gifts. So it's like this. If you switch it and you take your gift and use it for your security, now it's not fulfilling. So I'll give you an example. When I played ball, I actually didn't feel fulfilled playing ball. It was my security. It was where I found my identity, where I found my reputation. So guess what? Before every game, I wanted to vomit. I felt sick. Every time I lost a game, I felt worthless. I'm a loser. I would cry. I didn't want to see anybody. I was angry for days because my whole identity, my security was on the line. So the stress around sports. In fact, when I won, I didn't even feel fulfilled. I felt relieved that I didn't lose. Oh, thank God I didn't lose. It wasn't like, wow, that felt so great. It was like, at least I didn't lose. So I didn't have one game that I played that I actually could just throw my head back and go because too much was on the line. When my identity and my security is in being a dearly loved son who brings him great joy and the anointing that I believe I've been given by God, and you can't take that away. Now I can go swing for the fence, dude. And if I strike out, dude, that's not my security anyway. I can throw my head back and rip the note. All right. One of my gifts is communication. So I get up every week. It's very vulnerable. I'm in front of 3,000 people and another several thousand online. I get up and do that. I'm bearing my soul. That can really stress you out and get in your head because many of these people think I'm stupid. Man, did I say that wrong? Man, what if, you can get in your head about it. When I find my security is in whether I do a great job or not, now I can get up there and just let it fly. So to me, I find great fulfillment in using my gifts. If you take your gift and you try to use it for your security, it will have so much weight. It tries to bear the weight of your identity, and it creates stress. It's not designed to bear the weight of your identity. You got to already solidify that in who I am in my relationship with God, in the things that can't be taken away. So now that I'm free to take what I'm good at, my gifts, turn them into skills, and then play to win. Go for it. Shoot your shot. Don't be afraid, because if I fail, yeah, I'll be bummed out, but it's not catastrophic. So you take more risks, you're more courageous, and you're more resilient when you fail. Why? Because, man, that failure wasn't catastrophic. You do a lot of things right. Here's another, I'll throw this out. Mike and I were talking about this Sunday. People always say, don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself, man. You compare yourself. There's no win in comparison. Comparison's the thief of joy. I think I don't agree with that. I think that's only true if my identity is in my work or whatever it is I'm comparing. So for example, let's say we were swordsmen, okay? And Justin Deal over here has this sword and he's out here just killing it. And we're both swordsmen. This sword is not me, it's my gift. The sword is not me, it's a resource. So I'm like, Justin, let me see that sword. Can I hold that? Yeah. I hold it. I'm like, man, this is light. What did you make this out of? I go, man, that thing is sharp. What is that? Oh yeah, it's a new material, blah, blah, blah. What am I doing? I'm comparing my sword to his sword. I'm not comparing me to him. I'm comparing our swords. And when his is lighter and faster and sharper, instead of me feeling insecure, because I'm like, oh man, he's just so much better than me. No, I'm comparing my gift to his gift and I'm learning from him. But people say, well, if you compare and he compares better, then you're going to be insecure. And if you compare better, then you're going to be arrogant. I think that's only true if you have your identity or your security in your gift. Once you get that in the right place, I have my identity in something that can't be taken away. For me, it's his dearly loved son who brings him great joy, and the fact that I'm anointed with his spirit. None of y'all can take that away from me. So now I actually compare my gift all the time. I'm always listening to better communicators. Here's an indicator. You ever hear somebody say, oh yeah, man, I heard that person speak, or I heard that person sing, or whatever. They go, I'm never doing it again. I went over to Brian's house. Man, his house is so sick. I want to burn my house down. People like there are people that when they compare themselves to others, they get so discouraged and they want to tear their business down because somebody else's is so much better. That's because your identity and your security is in your gift. Forget that. If you can get that out of there, now I go in your business and I see an amazing business. Instead of it making me feel like a failure or feeling less than, I'm like, you have a sharper, faster, lighter sword than me. Help me learn. And my emotions aren't out of whack because that's not my identity. It's just what I'm doing. I'm stewarding this sword for a season. So I'll compare all day long. When I listen to great communicators or I see great leaders, it doesn't make me want to burn my stuff down or never communicate again. I want to go create right now. Not to be better than them, but it inspires me to want to be better than me, better than what I am right now. And so I think, to me, again, gifts, I can't see them as me. It's something that God's given me. He lets me use, and I want to steward them the best I can.
Wow, man, that speaks to me a lot, man. That right there, what you just heard, guys, can set a lot of you free. When I talk about spiritual strength, man, this is spiritual strength is when, like Pastor Greg just said, man, when, you will swing from the fences and not be afraid of failure, because that's not your identity, right? My real estate business is not my identity. Like the harvest is not my identity, but so with that, like, imagine if mentally you're free, how much more you would do. And by the way, what term in my mind came up as when you experience that freedom, vulnerability, right? Then comes up, but then guess what? You also start learning to ask for help, right? A lot of times people are afraid to ask for help, probably because they're in their own ego, they're in their own flesh, they're jealous of that person. Meanwhile, if they were on this call listening to what we're talking about, their identity wouldn't be into their business. They would have easily been like, hey, excuse me, hey, Fernando, I see that you're crushing. Like, what is it that you're doing? Right. And then next thing you know, it's that abundance mindset too. This is great stuff. And it's funny, man, as you're talking, it's just really thoroughly helping me. And I want to make sure that you guys aren't missing these lessons, because these could really be a pivotal moment for a lot of you if you use what you're being told here. So Pastor Greg, you mentioned, one thing that I'm always trying to get better at, and I don't feel like I have a handle for, I try and get a little bit better at, is parenting, right? And, I just think about, there's times when, I try, like I said, I try and always just do the best I can do. But then there's times where I feel like, I don't know, like, man, I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have done that, or, with just so many things out there, people parenting like this, and you're always worried about, your kids growing up and environments and stuff like that. And, and there's sometimes when I get mad and I put in perspective, I'm like, man, I should not be like, I need to control my emotions better. I need to start looking at things a little bit differently. I need to stop putting so much pressure on. I don't know. I'm sure you probably get a lot of this, but one thing that, as I follow your journey too, and you can go into this kind of with the community as far as like, you're very vocal with it when you talk about, the opportunities that you have with your kids. And, it's a lot different. Like there are some more obstacles that most parents don't have to deal with, but man, and I'm sure you'll say that nobody's perfect. I mean, let's face it, you're only human, but just how your mindset is, how your outlook on everything is, man, it is just so inspiring. And I know that it can really help a lot of people here on this call and whoever watches the recording. And again, I know, nobody's perfect, but it's just something that I really admire. And I would love for you to share, like, one, the story behind, your family, because I know it's an inspirational story, and you guys are continuing to inspire. Like, and as your kids grow, they're going to continue to inspire, and I would love for you to share that, because there's a lot of parents on this call, and I'm sure maybe I am the only one that puts so much pressure on themselves, like, to make sure that I can just lay out a path and say everything and act like perfect in every way, so I'll never have to worry about the kids growing up. But I just want to share that just your parenting journey and stuff like that with the community, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So quick snapshot. So my wife and I have 3 kids. Our daughter, Ella's 14. And then both of my sons, Hudson and Miles, are 11 and 7, and they both have autism. Hudson is pretty severely autistic. I mean, not super severe, but he's more severe than Miles. He's in a special school, so he can't go to normal school. And that's been a really tough journey. And then our younger son, Miles, also is on the spectrum. He's in like an integrated classroom where half his kids have special needs and half are not on the spectrum. And it's crazy because both of our boys have IEPs, which is basically, they say spectrum, but they don't give you like, hey, they're a 1 to 10 or something like that. They go through, they give you like several pages of like, here's where their deficiencies are. There's where they don't meet up. So we have both of our boys on IEPs, and then we have our daughter on, it's called, I think, IWP or something, but it's basically, she's super gifted. So she took, they gave her a standardized test, and she scored higher than anybody they'd had in 10 years. So they retested her, and she scored higher. So she's like super, super smart. And then like, she's like a little genius, man. She picks up on everything. And even like having her brothers on the spectrum, it's just increased her sensitivity in terms of awareness of just people and life. One of the things I would say, and of course, every kid, you have to parent them uniquely. Like there's some things you do standard with the family. We have some family rules and values and all of that. But, I think you study them just like you study your business, just like you study I think you being intentional and strategic about what conversations need to be had, what do each one of them need? And I think the biggest challenge I found is actually managing my own emotions so that I can be cool enough to have presence of mind to do what's best for my kids. So I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell as quickly as I can, but this is hot off the press. Like this just happened. So my daughter's 14. She's in 8th grade. 2 weeks ago, I come home. She's in tears. Just not normal. She's crying. She's like, Dad, I can't take it anymore. I said, what? So I started digging in. So bottom line is, dude, a month ago, my daughter's at an 8th grade football game. She goes and starts talking to some people she knew from the other team, their fans, and the 8th grade boys decide they were PO'd because she's disloyal, okay? So they start calling her a slut. They start calling her a whore. No one's telling on anyone because, you don't do that. You don't want backlash or whatever. So it's unchecked 8th grade boys. It's Lord of the Flies. Okay. They start saying she has small boobs. One of them spits at her and they miss her and hit her friend. I'm like, wait, what? I take her outside. Like I'm like demonstrating spitting because I want to make sure we're saying the same thing. She's like, yeah, it was that. Hit your friend? Yeah. People saw it? Yeah. She said, but Dad, that's not the worst. She said, a boy came up to me, and my daughter isn't perfect, but she does not lie. She comes to me, she said, a boy came up to me in the hall the other day and said, I hope you and your retarded brothers kill yourselves. Okay, so now I'm 42 years old, dude. I regressed to an 8th grader in the moment, emotionally. First question, where do they live? No, I'm not kidding. Where do they live? I'm gonna put someone's head in a locker. I'm on my way to the school now. Okay, I'm gonna beat up dad, uncle. Okay, I'm a pastor, but bro, I ain't a saint. Like I got a few skeletons in my closet. I'm ready to go off. I'm biting my tongue. She's like, Dad, that's not the worst. These guys have a thread where they take pictures, screenshots off of mom's social, and they make fun of the boys. People have showed me these screenshots. They make fun of our boys for having autism because they're trying to get at her. I want to lose my mind. I feel violent. I feel everything. So I say, hey, give me like 5 minutes. So I go get alone. I'm just telling you exactly what happened. I prayed. God, I ain't got it in me. I can be as immature as anybody. Lord, I need your help. Give me wisdom. So I calm down a bit. I go back to her and I sit her down and I say, and in my mind, I realize this is a parenting opportunity that will change her life if I handle it right. My instinct was I wanted to go to school and handle up my business, but I decided I'm going to teach her how to stand up for herself. So we sit down. I said, all right, let's be clear. Your brothers have no idea they're being made fun of. That's one, I guess, a blessing of autism. They're clueless. So they're not hurting. These guys they're not coming after your brothers. They're coming after you. And today you're going to learn how to stand up for yourself, and you and I are going to come up with a plan. So I'm telling you the exact conversation I had with my 8th grade daughter. I said this, let's paint the edges. Let's go all of our options on the table. 1, we can kill him. She's like, no, I'm like, we could. I mean, I was like, I would do it. You're not going to do it. I would do it, but I'm probably going to get caught because I'm not a killer. But I was like, the good thing, you never have to hear from them again, and I'll make it hurt. I will make them suffer. So you'll know they suffered like you did, and then they'll be gone. But I'm going to get caught because I'm not a good killer, and I'm going to end up in prison. So you're never going to have another birthday or Christmas with me, but you'll never have to deal with them again. Is that worth it to you? No. You sure? Let's think about it. We thought about it. We talked about it. Decided not to kill him. Second, I can assault them. I'm not going to go away for life, but I'm going to go away for a few, maybe 5 to 10 because, okay, we talk it through. Now let's not do that. Okay, cool. Well, you can then go and you can find out who they love, who's vulnerable, and you can do exactly what they did to you. You can make fun of you can find, some of them probably have a dead family member. You can make fun of them. You can find out if they have a family member with a disability. You can make fun of them. You can do exactly what they did. You can start your own thread. Screenshot their family, make fun of them. We talked about that option. Decided not to do it. We work all the way through to this. My daughter wants to be a lawyer, okay? So I said, go upstairs and make a case. Document, screenshot, eyewitnesses, dates, times, come down, and I want you to present to me like I'm a jury. So she goes up, does it. She has some gaps. I send her back up. Go get your stuff. She comes down. I said, all right, we're taking this to the principal. She goes, I don't want to do that. Backlash. I don't want the backlash. Dad, if I go to the principal, when none of the teachers and principal are looking, it's going to come back at me. I said, self-respect. They can take your respect. They can't take your self-respect. You can't control backlash, but you can't control what you're going to do. You can't control if a bully beats you up, but I'm not going to just get run over. I said, have you heard of Harvey Weinstein? No, Dad, who's that? I pull up. We sat there for 20 minutes reading Harvey Weinstein articles. Ellie, you're a beautiful girl. Somebody's going to try you. Somebody's going to do this. And these women go, I don't want backlash. You'll never work in this town again. Fine, but you're not going to take my self-respect. I can't control if I work in the town, but you're not going to take my self-respect. So you're going to go to war. And if they all come at you, they come at you and you'll take that, but you're not going to hide out and have these dudes run over you. They're going to know you mess with Ella Ford. You might beat her up, but you're going to get a bloody nose. You're going to get bit. And they're going to start picking somebody who won't bite people. So you're going to so she does her case, goes to the principal. I wanted to go. She said, Dad, let me go by myself. She goes in, makes her case. God bless the principal. She regulated, shut the thing down. Now, it's a fun story to tell, but I'm telling you, it took every bit of self-control for me to not go off, to not take matters in my own hands. It was frankly scary with my daughter having these guys calling my son's retarded, telling her she ought to kill herself, spitting at her. Do you understand? None of you, if all that happened to my daughter and I ended up on the news and they told the story, yeah, somebody spit on this guy's daughter and called his son's retarded and then he beat this kid up, you'd be like, meh. But I choked down the emotion and really thought, what's best for my kids? I want to set them up long term. And when she did that, I sat her down at the end of it and I said, what you just learned how to do, you better do when you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 for the rest of your life. Today, you learn how to fight for your self-respect and to stand up for yourself within the law, within the structure. And then the results, they are what they are. We'll live with them. But we're going to, So I think throughout, again, whether it's working with my sons, working with my daughter, my kids, I'm constantly asking what is best for them. And I want to dig 3 or 4 or 5 layers deep into that question because it would have been easy for me to go, what's best for my kids? Well, it's best I run down to the school and get in the principal's face and find out who this kid is and scare him straight and call his dad and go, if you ever again, I'm going to come over your house. Okay. There's a part of me that could have made that case. That's the right thing. But to be cool enough in my head, disciplined to step back and go, no, wait a second. What is the bigger lesson? And sometimes it is not the thing that makes you feel better. There was really nothing about that made me feel good. It was really looking back, I'm like, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of how we handled it. But in the moment, it was agony. So I think you got to keep asking and looking at each one of them. Where's their gap in understanding? What do they need right now? Do they need information? Do they need grace? Do they need space to make a mistake? What is their aptitude? Each one of them, I think you handle them uniquely, although some of it is standard, right? Integrity, character, whatever your family values are. But then being, giving it the energy and focus and time that they deserve. I think often people like us are really strategic in our businesses, really strategic in our how we develop our entities. And then our families, we kind of wing it. Families are structure. Families are an organization. Families have systems, processes, and culture, right? You'd say this in your business. How does culture happen? Well, it happens by default or it happens intentionally. It's going to happen. Whether you do it or it happens on accident, it's going to happen. Same with your family. How intentional are you around the culture, the communication, the systems, all of that around your family? I think oftentimes people put so much over here. And of course, we say how much we love our families, but we send another message when we're not that intentional and disciplined over here. So that's a few thoughts.
Tell you what, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, after following you on YouTube, I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, you deliver unbelievable stories like this all the time. But man, this was better than I imagined when I asked you about parenting. And what a powerful story. And for those that listen to this, think about how obviously this is a lesson on parenting, but think about how he ran it through his mind. Hey, I stopped, you know what? Let me take a step back. Let me pray. Let me really calm down and think about this. And he went through all the scenarios with his daughter. Does that relate to leadership? Does that relate to the employees that you have when you're trying to get them, or maybe a manager in your company is talking about one of the salespeople that are doing this, right? This is a skill. And by the way, what happens is he didn't just show her, a moment. He didn't just show her a moment of how to handle something. He literally taught her a tool that she can use the rest of her life. Right. And that's leadership. It's not about like having people come and you solve their, it's like, no, the John Maxwell, but I mean, we've all heard it. It's like teaching people how to solve problems, not to be there just to answer questions. That's leadership. And this is how it relates. Man, there's so much of you're saying right now, man. And I just want to make sure that you guys are looking at this in all angles. Obviously your family, but also your businesses. I do know that, a lot of you, this is your first experience hearing Greg. Like I said, please do yourself a favor and follow him. But there's a lot of people I know on this call that I've kind of said, hey, check his stuff out. And they've been following you for a long time and they're excited about you on this call. So I just want to, is there any questions on the floor? Anything that you guys need help with? I saw Justin raised his hand.
Hey, Pastor Ford, this has been awesome. Greatly appreciate the time. I found you a little after Devin. He kind of introduced you to me, so to speak. And I just quick background, kind of started my faith journey about 18 months ago. I was challenged to start a Bible study just to kind of increase that faith. And I was really just trying to find ways to build more momentum. But I have 4 children as well. My oldest daughter is on the spectrum, and then my son, who's a baby, he's 2, he is as well. And I'm sure you can relate to this. I really liked your one video, see it for what it is, not for what it isn't. I don't know if you're familiar with the poem "Welcome to Holland," but very familiar kind of a vibe. You might enjoy reading that. But my question to you is, like, every once in a while, I definitely find that like question of why just like slips into my head, and usually there's like a lot of emotion with that. So, what, if anything, like, what do you do in those moments? It's not like an anger, but it's just that it's that unknown.
Yeah, so it's a great question. I did a message on it one time on, I called this sermon or series of messages. I had 4 messages on it, but it was called Why God. So why do things happen, right? So I actually talk about 4 reasons why things happen, but one of them is we live in a fallen world and things happen. It's like I can't expect just because I love God or I'm a good dude or I'm trying to be a good dude or whatever that I'm not going to have bad things happen. Like I can't expect that God somehow is going to, make everything smooth sailing for me. And somehow I'm excluded from a disease or autism or tragedy or whatever it might be. And so I think that is part of life. And I think, sometimes God intervenes in some things and sometimes he doesn't. And I don't know why. I can't explain that. I just know that, I know that every twist and turn on the journey, again, the thing with my boys having autism like yours, it's for a parent, we are, particularly dads, we're hardwired to provide and protect. So it's something I can't provide them a solution. I can't provide them out of it and I can't protect them from it. So it is like horrible. Like I feel that stress and the frustration every day that I can't help them move forward. And it's in that weakness and the inability to do what I want to do that's caused me, honestly, to think in different ways, to relate to God in different ways. I would honestly say it's deepened me as a human being than if my boys were like superstar athletes or honor students. And you kind of go, I mean, that's all good. And there's a lot of great potential in that journey, but like this whole thing's caused me to have to slow down and really think things. Like, to be honest, again, I'm a pastor. My first son, man, I prayed for healing for him every single day. I'd lay my hands on his head and pray, tears in my eyes, man. I put him to bed. I'd be praying for him to heal, and he didn't heal. And so then when my second son was diagnosed with autism, I didn't even pray for him. But it wasn't like I planned to not pray. It wasn't like I'm like, hey, God, I'm shaking my fist, like I ain't praying. It was just, I just didn't. Like, I just kind of like, well, if God was going to heal my son, he would have healed the first one. He didn't heal him. And so it was like probably like 3-4 months into me, like, I didn't even pray for him. I didn't even realize I hadn't prayed for him. Well, what does that do? It makes you wrestle down your beliefs. Like, well, what do I believe? And if you have the discipline and the fortitude to keep going beneath the surface, I think you arrive at some really deeper beliefs than just these shallow sort of anecdotes. But like, man, okay, I really wrestled at the ground. And I think And I've used this illustration to our church, like, if you guys are dads, you wrestle with your kids. That's one of the ways you bond. And I think it's honestly one of the ways we bond with God is in wrestling. I've wrestled with a lot of this, like spent a lot of time, like my wife and I talking about it, me praying and thinking and processing. And as much as I want an answer, I think actually there's value in the wrestling itself. So I've learned to embrace that, man. And I think that's the reality. It's messy and it's not clear. It's somewhat ambiguous. And I've chosen to embrace that journey instead of to just go, man, it hasn't happened like I want it. Didn't happen like I thought, so I'm out. You know what I mean? I think as it goes to your relationship with God, that's what people do in relationship, irreconcilable differences. Dude, I don't like what I don't know. I don't get it and I don't want to get it and I'm done. I'm moving on. I've just chosen not to do that with God. I don't get it. I don't like it, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay in this. And as I've stuck around and continue to dig deep, it's created a dimension to my life that I'm not sure would be there without it. That being said, I don't think it's like God was like, yeah, man, I want to make Greg deep. So, I'm going to curse his boys or whatever. I'm like, no, I don't think that. But I think everything that comes our way, if we take it and we steward it well, it will develop dimension in our lives. I mean, dude, no doubt, this has brought my wife and I so much closer, but that doesn't happen all the time. A lot of people get divorced. You know how often people get divorced because their kids have special needs? It's very stressful, but we've chosen to go, no. I mean, hey, we've picked at each other. We've had some fights over it. We've gone you go to your corner, I'll go to mine. We've had all of that. It hasn't been perfect, but we have determined the same thing that could drive us apart can bring us together, and that's what we're going to do with it. So it really is mindset, and I think you should ask that question. I think it's good to ask it. Just don't stop asking it. Keep digging. Don't just go, why God? I don't know why God would do that, and now I'm done. Well, that's not a question. That's a statement. Keep it a question. Keep the question mark there. Keep going deeper, 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 deeper. There's all kinds of revelation down there. There's all kinds of new thoughts and good stuff.
Awesome. Well, we are past 1 o'clock, but again, every minute is worth it. Pastor Greg, thank you so much, man, for taking the time to pour into this community. I mean, there's still so much, but like I said, guys, follow his YouTube channel. I mean, it is infinite of all the different lessons, and he's just an incredible speaker, incredible man, incredible pastor, and just follow him to continue to digest his lessons. And just thank, yeah.
Can I say one thing before we go?
Oh, yeah.
I was this last week, I was actually with the CEO of the third largest public company in Texas. Okay. It's called, what's it called? Ground Castle. But basically it's a telecommunications after AT&T and Exxon, what I was told, worth $90 billion. So I'm sitting with this guy and he's telling me, it was actually at a John Maxwell event. And he says to me, he's talking to me about basically, he's always looking, one of the ways that churches and pastors can serve him is helping him find the right places essentially to give. The guy's got money and he wants to give places. I know this sounds like I'm setting you up to give to me. I'm not. I know a lot of times you guys have money. You're going, I need to unload this. I don't want to pay taxes on it. I want to get, or you want to give generously. If you need help doing that, if it does, I don't care if it comes to me, I'm connected. And we have vetted out every nonprofit, any cause you're passionate about. If you go, yeah, Greg, special needs. Yeah, Greg, foster care. Yeah, Greg. Okay. You go down the list. I know everybody in that space. And certainly if you want to get, I mean, we're trying to build an $11 million building. So if you're passionate about buildings, I'll take it, but I don't need it. What we can do, if you say, I have a need, I need someone to help broker, I need someone to help get it, I won't take $1. I won't take a penny of it. But I realize, and I've been told, a lot of Christian businessmen are affluent. They have money. They want to put it somewhere. They don't know where to go with it. And they don't want to just throw it at something. I can help you do that. So I do that for businessmen in our church that come to me. They want, and sometimes they give it to our church and it helps us do stuff. A lot of times I help point them because they just don't know where to go to get in the right direction. So you guys have my contact. If you're looking to do that, you have my word. I'm not trying to get your money. I just want to, I can serve you that way my whole life. Just like you guys know people in every business sector. I know the nonprofit sector, dude. I know everybody. I know who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with, and I get no cut, zero. I just want to be able to help you do that if it is a need for whatever it's worth.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Pastor Greg, again, thank you. Mike, I think he popped off, but I will definitely make sure I thank him for bringing this opportunity forward. And all right, guys, have a great week. Remember, share the call. Let's get more eyes on Pastor Greg because he's changing a lot of lives. So thank you all, guys. Have a great day.
Great call, Dev. Thanks, guys.